a certain way and you do it your way and then mess up, I don't want to clean it up. Because that was your fuck up, not mine.
He done a lot in his career, right? Not everything, but he done a lot. What people don't understand is his business is a lot.
I was feeling that Jake Paul was going to knock out Tank. This press conference made me feel a little bit more confident about Tank. I'm no cap.
Floyd Mayweather just dropped his thoughts on the Gervonta Davis versus Jake Paul fight, and he didn't hold back. He said Davis is calling his own shots and putting his career on the line. Floyd admitted he's offered advice before, but if it's ignored, that's not his problem. Still, he thinks the matchup is great for the sport, the payday's massive, and you can bet he'll be watching every second.
Within my company, within my team, do it my way. Because if you mess up, I don't mind being a janitor to clean up the mess because I told you to do it a certain way. But if I tell you to do it a certain way and you do it your way and then mess up, I don't want to clean it up. Because that was your fuck up, not mine.
The boxing world is on fire right now over the upcoming Davis versus Paul clash. Fans, experts, and fighters are completely split. Some calling it a circus act, others saying it's genius marketing that could take Tank to a new audience. As the debate rages online, insiders keep chiming in, some backing Davis's decision, others warning that the sport might be losing its soul.
And number 3, the retirement.
I mean, the backlash is just what people do nowadays. That's just, you give somebody a keyboard, you give them a phone, and they able to hide their face. Yeah, they gonna have a field day. The backlash I get, I understand. What'd you say, number 2, not fight Shakur?
Yeah, he's saying he'll never fight Shakur, that he ain't gonna do him no favors, that he ain't gonna help him make no money because Shakur broke or something like that. Something along those lines.
Yeah, I don't get all that. That's, you know what I mean? That's against the game. Like, you know what I mean? You at least owe that fight for the game. You know what I mean? You owe the rematch to Lamont for the game. But you owe Shakur for the game just because of the 2 style matchups. You know what I mean? But if he feel like he don't gotta fight him, guess what? We can't sit here and just go crazy about it. But it is kind of...
Trainer Greg Hackett couldn't stay quiet about the backlash. He's frustrated with how people criticize every move fighters make without knowing their reality. Hackett said if Davis wants to fight Jake Paul, that choice deserves respect. No outsider truly understands a fighter's mindset or motivation. To him, fans should stop trying to control matchups and instead appreciate the grind it takes to stay elite. His words echo a wider frustration in boxing, that social media has turned criticism into a sport of its own.
He done a lot in his career, right? Not everything, but he done a lot. What people don't understand is his business is a lot. This whole experience is a lot. The shit these fighters go through is hard to explain. It's hard to explain because people, they can't see it, so they can't understand it. But it's stressful to the fighters because they coming from just getting ready to fight in the amateurs, being prepared, going out there, win, get it done, celebrate, all right, we back to the next camp. To now, marketing. You're talking about marketing. You're talking about lawyers. You're talking about all this shit that you just never imagined. You like, why do I have to deal with all of this shit? People trying to keep money coming in, so they trying to come up with bright ideas. At the same time, you got a lot of people trying to get
Another heated topic surrounds analyst Max Kellerman, whose recent takes have sparked major outrage. Critics say Kellerman's been too harsh on Gervonta, downplaying his accomplishments and calling his titles overrated. Many analysts fired back, pointing out Davis's knockout record and skill. They argue that Kellerman's comments reflect a bigger issue, how boxing media often favors hype over talent. This whole debate exposes how bias and perception can shape a fighter's public image.
Because Max Kellerman is full of nonsense. Max Kellerman claims that Gervonta Davis was never a champion, that we've never been a period of time when we looked at Gervonta Davis and said Gervonta Davis is the man in that weight class. Bunch of other ridiculousness pouring out of the pie hole of Max Kellerman. Max Kellerman is one of the most biased, bought and paid for journalist that there is in the sport of boxing, and to have him back talking again on and giving his opinion again about the sport of boxing, I promise you is not a good thing. But let's analyze what he had to say about Gervonta, that Gervonta was not ever a champion. That is ridiculous because Gervonta Davis was a champion for the IBF at 130. He was a WBA super champion at 130. He is currently the reigning WBA champion at 135. And there is no other champion in the division for the WBA at the moment. He is the only WBA champion that there is at 135. He had a portion of a secondary. The title at the time he won it at 140 was a secondary title. So if you do not want to count that, I don't know why you wouldn't, seeing as everybody else counts that belt. But okay, fine. He's a 2-division world champion. That is more than zero, Max Kellerman. Now, looking at the idea that Gervonta Davis has never been the man in that division is absolutely ridiculous because Gervonta Davis has really been the man in that division the entire time that he's there.
Former champ Paulie Malignaggi, never one to bite his tongue, slammed the Davis versus Paul matchup as bad for boxing. He said real knockouts only matter when both fighters are evenly matched, not when the bout feels manufactured. In a chat with analyst Chris Algieri, Malignaggi claimed these influencer-driven fights trick casual fans into thinking they're watching the real deal. He warned that mixing social media stars with elite boxers blurs the line between entertainment and authenticity, and that's exactly what's tearing the sport in two.
Knockouts, dude. Knockouts. People like knockouts. They don't care if you're knocking out cab drivers. Look at Jake Paul's career.
You can manufacture that though. You can manufacture that though. You can manufacture.
You can't manufacture.
To a degree, you can. To a degree. I mean, you can. Yeah, Gervonta legitimately cannot get knockouts. I agree. He can punch, but there's a lot of limited knockout artists though, man.
He's one of the least active punchers in the game with the highest knockout percentage of current heavyweight.
But if he was a real knockout artist,
champion.
If he was a real knockout artist, could it prop him up against the best of the best? Felix Trinidad was a knockout artist. He was knocking out the best of the best. If you're a real knockout artist, prop him up against the best and show us how he smokes them. But the way Wayne did when Felix Trinidad was doing it. You know? The way when Mike Tyson was doing it in his prime. Okay, say what you want about the Mike Tyson era. He knocked out everyone from 1986 to 1989. Everyone got knocked out. Everyone.
Well, by your standard, you could say that Tyson was to a degree manufactured.
No, because he fought everyone that was there. Everyone that was there at that time fought.
Teddy Ellis will 100% agree with this.
With the expense of
Witherspoon. That were afraid of him.
With the exception of Witherspoon. No, but they all, doesn't matter. He knocked them all out. There was nobody you could say in that era except maybe Witherspoon, who had contract issues with King at the time. Oh, except for Witherspoon, there is nobody Tyson didn't fight in that era. He knocked them all out. You can't say like, oh, but if he would have fought that guy, I don't know. No, with Davis, there's guys right now that have been hanging around for years. Yo, dude, when are you going to fight them? The lightweight division was stacked with talent. Even at 130, it had a lot of talent when he was there. Didn't fight almost any of them. So it's not the same thing as the Tyson era. You want to say anything about Tyson era? Fine. It wasn't as high level or something. He still knocked out
On the flip side, commentator Showbiz the Adult sees it differently. After watching the press conference, he said he's now confident in Davis. At first, he thought Jake's size might be too much, but Davis's calm, focus, and sharpness changed his mind. Showbiz said Tank looked like a pro who knows the stakes and thrives under pressure. He believes Gervonta's skill and fight IQ could shock people who think Jake's power gives him the edge. In his eyes, this might be the fight that proves technique can beat size.
I'll be down with this kid. Listen, I was feeling that Jake Paul was going to knock out Tank. This press conference made me feel a little bit more confident about Tank. No cap. I know Tank wasn't saying much, fumbling over his words, seems bashful, but I'm looking, right? And I'm just like, bro, he doesn't feel that Jake Paul is an issue. Even though he said it, he doesn't have He doesn't feel like he has to whoop his ass. He doesn't feel threatened. That's the word. He doesn't feel threatened, but he does feel out of his element. I'm gonna be honest, man. It sounds like, I know everybody's looking at this press conference and it's like, number one, I know what y'all saying. It's a clown show. It's not real. Tank was paid off. It's fake. Because Tank, when he was talking about Jake and JB, even I was like, what is he talking about?
You laughing?
What are you talking about?
What
does he have to do with this?
Let anything, you know what I'm talking about. Let anything. No, I don't have to say it right now. Don't worry about it. I don't got to say it up here. Let anything happen. And I'm going to show you and him.
So that I can understand if that's your concern. I am being extremely truthful with how I feel about this and how I'm reacting to this. My oldest son was like, I see the same thing, Dad, but you're going to get a weird response to your take.
And just when you think things couldn't get wilder, Floyd Mayweather's name jumps back into the spotlight. Rumors say he's eyeing a fight with Mike Tyson, and analysts think it's more than just another payday. They say Floyd wants to remind the world he's still boxing's biggest name. With all eyes on Davis and Paul, Mayweather seems determined not to be overshadowed. It's classic Floyd, driven by legacy, attention, and competition. As these stars prepare for their own battles, one thing's clear. In boxing, the fight for relevance never ends.
Celebrities and so many people that are known where you can get somebody and they can sell tickets to events. That's what kicked off the social media influence boxing that Jake Paul was birthed from. Now we're in a vacuum. And so there's going to be a lot of conversation about that and continuing to do that. In this particular video, though, I want to get into the mind of Floyd Mayweather Jr. and why Floyd Mayweather Jr. would do this. There is the money, but there's also the competitive nature of Floyd Mayweather Jr. and him not wanting to have other people think that they're a bigger star than he is. Floyd Mayweather Jr. has not been able to really launch his star outside of the sport of boxing, so he continues to do exhibitions. Now, what I think is that Floyd Mayweather Jr. is announced it at this point in time with Mike Tyson in order to take advantage of the publicity heading into the Gervonta Davis, Jake Paul fight, which is, I do believe, set for November. So now that they have all the publicity and all that stuff coming out from that, he's going to piggyback on it and then try to have it in the beginning of next year sometime and actually make it a bigger event than Gervonta versus Jake Paul. And it probably will be. And the reason that I say that is because of Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson is bigger than Floyd. Let me say Mike Tyson. I think Mike Tyson is bigger than Floyd Mayweather. I still think his name is bigger than Floyd Mayweather, even though I know Floyd has made more money in the pay-per-views. And I think that had a lot to do with, again, social media area and otherwise. But the combination of Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Mike Tyson and the question about what is going to happen in that